Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Hello students. This is the continuation of the indicators of subordination. Now, other indicators of subordinations are the borderline indicators. Now, what is meant by borderline subordinators? Now, to refresh our memory, last time we talked about formal indicators of subordination. We talked about the subordinators, the structural subordinators. We talked about the the 5 types of subordinators. We talked about the we talked about the 3 types of subordinators, and then we talked about the 5 situations or cases where these 3 types of subordinators show up. Now, in this lecture, we're going to talk about borderline subordinators and different types of subordinators, and then we'll go to talk about the functions of dependent clauses, and do not get confused with the functions of independent clauses that we have talked about earlier. Now, borderline subordinators, of course, they are dealt with in terms of the borderline of a given clause. Okay, when saying borderline, then they come at the border of a given clause, regardless of being finite or infinite clause. Okay, and these borderline subordinators, again, please, subordinators are linkers. They are elements that link two clauses. Elements linking two clauses. Please pay attention to this note. Now, these borderline subordinators are 3 types, or 3 categories, I should say. 3 categories. Okay, they are the habitual, the present and present participle, and time expression or expressions. Okay, now the habitual combination with a preceding or following subordinator. Okay, habitual here means the frequent occurrence of a certain word or certain item, okay, with a subordinator. Now, if we say if only, of course, if is a subordinator that links to clauses. Now, only is the frequent word that comes with the subordinator if. So these if only, okay, if only is frequently combined or combined all together in making certain implications or certain lexical indications. We'll talk about them in a minute. For example, just as, again, just as, okay, as an adverb, okay, with as, which is the again the subordinator. This is the frequent combination, and we may hear these 2 expressions all the time. Okay, now back to if only. If only, of course, is an important concept in the English grammar. Now let's talk about it for a minute. Now we use it, if only, to express a strong wish that things could be different. This is important, and this is taken from the Cambridge Dictionary, okay, regarding if only. We use it to express a strong wish that things could be different. So, strong wish regarding the things that could be different. Please pay attention to the use of words here, to the wording, okay, to the lexical items. Could refers to something that has not happened. It could happen, but it has not happened. So, this is called a hypothetical case. A hypothetical case. Hypothetical case in Arabic الشيء الذي يراد به أن يصار ولكنه أو يحدث ولكنه لم يحدث. Okay, we have it in Arabic. We say لو ما أخذ الدواء كان صحيت. We say لو بس ما أخذ الدواء كان هسه أنا صاحي. Okay, so if only I have taken my medicine, okay, I could have been healthy now or recovered now. Okay, so we always use if only plus the past verb of the form. We cannot say if only I am here I could so and so. No, if only I was here, okay, I could have done so and so. Sometimes we use were, okay, were instead of was. Why? As you know, because the whole situation is a hypothetical one. There is no need to talk about the real situation. The real situation, then we have to strictly follow the grammar of the English language. While, okay, the use of hypothetical cases, okay, we use verbs like were, okay, indicating that the case or the sentence or the thought that we have in mind represented by the given sentence is not a real one. Please put this in mind. The second type or the second case of the borderline subordinators is represented by the participle forms bearing resemblance to the participle clauses. Participle forms bearing resemblance to participle clauses, okay, which means the forms of present participle and past participle which are similar to the clauses of participles. Okay, for example, supposing, knowing, okay, doing, and so many different forms of the participles. Okay, however, they are not any participle. No, they must have certain similarity between these participles and the participle clauses which have been taken previously, I should assume. Now, if we take this supposing that I am here, okay, supposing that I am here. Now, supposing here is the participle, okay, while that is the connector, okay, that is the connector. So this is number 2. Number 3, expressions of time, which are adverbials in form. They are adverbials, but act like temporal conjunctions. Okay, so these forms, for example, directly, immediately, the moment I had spoken or that I had spoken, these are in form or by form. They are adverbials, but act like temporal conjunction. But when they're used as borderline subordinators, they act like conjunctions or subordinators. Conjunctions, I mean linkers. Linkers, they link. Okay. For example, I say, when I saw you directly went to school. Okay. When I saw you, I directly went to school. You see this directly? It's a conjunction here, but at the same time it is in form and an adverb of time, or adverbial at least. The same thing goes with immediately, the moment that I had, or that I had spoken, or the moment I had spoken. This is the third type. Now these are the three subtypes of the borderline subordinators. Now if I bring you in the exam to locate the borderline subordinators, you have to look for these subordinators, if only, just as. I might bring you only if, okay, without only, then this is not a borderline subordinator, or just without as, it is not a and so on and so forth. Please pay very, very, very much attention to these issues, or detailed issues. Now, other indicator of subordination, other indicators, I should say, other indicators of subordination. Now, in addition to the subordinating conjunctions, there are other indicators. Okay? In addition to all the indicators that we have been dealing with along these two lengthy lectures, now there are others. Okay? Now, again, they are represented by WH elements. Okay? And subject operator inversion. WH elements and subject operator inversion. Now these are connectors or indicators of subordination. Through them we can reach out to the subordination. Okay. Now the WH elements. Okay. I mean the H words. For example, what, who, whom, how, which, whose, and so on and so forth. These, the WH elements, they function as subordination. Of course, we have mentioned them in the first, in the earlier lectures, I think, with in the starting of the subordination and coordination topics. So they function as subordination when they come within a superordinate clause. Within a superordinate clause. Superordinate clause here, which is the main clause that we have also talked about. Now, like a subject or object. Like a subject or object. Okay? When they come at when they come within a superordinate clause, like a subject or an object. Let's take an example. Okay, I am purposely not writing the examples here in order for you to study the examples yourselves, and you can pick up my explanation and go back to your examples and exercises. So let's take example here. Now, what have been mentioned by Ahmed, okay, is the best thing I ever heard. Okay, so what have been mentioned. Now here the what, okay, here the what is the WH element, which links or makes the first dependent clause as a subordinate to the superordinate clause. This is the example. Now, B Or the second one, subject operator inversion is also an indicator in some conditional clauses with the operators, for example, had, were, should. Okay, had, for example, had in the subject operator inversion, had I or shall you come here, please give me a call. Shall you or should you come here, please give me a call. Okay, now here should is the indicator of the subordination or subordinator. Okay, and the same goes with had or were. Other unusual syntactic ordering may be as an indicator as well, like sad though I was. These are unusual syntactic orderings, sometimes used in the poetic and literary languages. However, they are grammatical and they're acceptable and they're accepted by the native speakers of English, so we have to describe them as they are. Okay? Now, there are only two types of subordinate clauses which have no markers within themselves. Only two types. Okay? Only two types of the subordinate clauses. Please pay attention to this. As we have said, we have subordinate clauses and superordinate clauses. The subordinate clauses have only two types which have no markers. So the whole or the entire types of subordinate clauses must have indicators or markers. However, these accept these two types. What are they? The nominal clauses and the command clauses. The nominal clauses and the command clauses. Please, guys, I'm not giving you the detailed explanations in your book, so that you can take the gist, okay, and work accordingly. Please, this is for your own benefit. Otherwise, your book is very complex and very detailed. So, number one, nominal clauses which may or may not have that. Nominal clauses which may or may not have that. Of course, nominal clauses do not always take that. For example, I suppose you're right. Here, there must be that here before you. I suppose that you're right. Okay, we can delete it easily. I suppose you're right. Here, this nominal clause, you are right. Okay, here you are right is the subordinate clause. However, we cannot find any marker saying that or indicating that this is the subordinate clause. We cannot find if, we cannot find just as, if only, just as, time expression, and so on and so forth. Okay, there's no an indicator. So this is the case number one. The case number two is the functional classification of dependent clauses. The command clauses. Number two is the command clauses, where we cannot find any marker inside the clause. Okay, which is like the above sentences. You're right, I suppose. Okay, you're right, I suppose. So here the command clause is you are right, and the main clause is I suppose. So here we cannot find any marker, any indication for the any indication for the command clause or the subordinate clause, I should say. So this is the case number 2. Only these, except these cases that we cannot find, in which we cannot find the markers within themselves to indicate the subordination and or the subordinators. Now, the second topic that we discuss in this lecture is the function classification. The function classification of dependent clauses. They may function as, of course, the dependent clauses as a dependent clause, okay, as a subject, as an object, as a complement or adverbial in the superordinate clause. Please pay attention. The dependent clauses. The dependent clause here يعني in Arabic الجملة غير الوصلية. مو عندنا جملة وصل وجملة غير وصلية، فهذه الجملة غير الجملة الرئيسية أنها ممكن تعمل كفاعل، كمفعول به، كالكومبلمنت أنها ممكن نسميها خبر أو مبتدأ، أو ظرف، أي نوع من الظرف في الجملة الرئيسة. سامعين باللغة العربية؟ وهذه الجملة جاءت في محل رفع مبتدأ، أو هذه الجملة جاءت في محل رفع فاعل، هذه الجملة جاءت في محل نصب مفعول به. يعني جملة كاملة تجي as a subject or as an object or as an adverbial or as a complement and so on and so forth. Okay, so these are the function classifications of the dependent clauses. Now let's take examples which are found in page 315. You may find them in your textbook. For example, they may also the examples. Let's take an example. For example, what I can see is my own topic, or without what I can find this topic, okay, is my first topic. You see, I can find this topic. This is an independent clause. I can find this topic. It's free. There's no need to any superordination. Okay, and then is my first topic. You see? Okay, or what I can say now is I go to school. A complement. Khabar. Okay, I go to school. It's a dependent clause. Okay, but here functions as a complement, and so on and so forth. You may find the examples. They are pretty clear and easy. The independent clauses here may also function as post modifiers, prepositional complement, for example, within etc. within the elements mentioned above. Okay, they can be post modifier, prepositional complements. Okay, or they could be post modifier. For example, a friend who remains loyal here. A friend who remains loyal. You see, post modifier. Or prepositional complement. It depends on what? On what we decide. You see, what we decide. Okay? And this is the preposition. Or adjectival complement. For example, ready to act promptly. To act promptly. So here, this is the adjective, ready to act promptly. You see, this is the adjectival complement. Okay, these are other functions to the independent clauses. Now, This is important. All nominal relative clauses. All nominal relative clauses, starting with whose, can function as post modifiers. It is clear, I think, because we can say this is Ahmed, who is a new student. Who is a new student is a post modifier to this is Ahmed. Okay? And so on and so forth with all other nominal clauses, nominal relative clauses, الجمل الاسمية الوصلية التي تأتي بعد الجملة الرئيسة. Okay? Now, and this is an example. The pen which I got is really nice. Which I got, or as I have mentioned the example. Now, the last topic is adverbial clause. The adverbial clauses or clause. They operate as adjuncts or disjuncts. Adjuncts or just disjuncts. They may be similar to prepositional phrases. Okay, they may be similar to prepositional phrases. For example, because the soloist was ill, okay, the concert was cancelled. The concert was cancelled. Okay. Now this is adverbial because the soloist was ill. Now this adverb, which is similar to prepositional phrase because there is a preposition which is because, okay, and this is the adjunct. Okay, the concert was, and again because the soloist was ill is the subordinate clause. The subordinate clause. Now, comparative clauses, okay, they may function as adverbial or adjectival modifiers. Adverbial or adjectival modifiers. For example, I love you more deeply than I can say. More deeply that and I can say. So this can be either adverbial, okay, more deeply than I can say, or adjectival modifiers, modification to the adjective deeply. Okay. For example, he's not as clever as a man I thought. Okay, as a man I thought. Again, it could be an adverbial or adjectival modifiers. And finally, the comment clauses. The function of the comment clauses can be disjunct or conjunct adverbials. Disjunct or conjunct adverbials. And this is again important. For example, food is cheap in England, I believe. Okay? Food is cheap in England, I believe. Now this is the comment, I believe. Okay? The comment clause, I believe. So it could be a disjunct or conjunct adverbial. Disjunct or conjunct adverbial. Now again, this is a subordinate clause. A subordinate clause which is a subordinate clause which functions as either disjunct or conjunct. Okay. Well, that's all for this lecture. Please, it is. I can say that this lecture is quite detailed and intense lecture. However, you guys are good to study it, and you have your textbook. Please, if any of the examples or any of the exercises you may feel that you cannot go over them or get over them, please only contact me and we will discuss the issue all together. That's all for me. Thank you very much. Keep doing well for the next lectures. Thank you. That's all for me.